Hi everyone, I am Destiny Fouché sharing this video to talk a little bit about my ethnographic interview that I did for Dr. Al James's anthropology class at Southeastern. My husband and I both interviewed the same person. We interviewed one of his friends from work named August. August is from the Karen people group. Not to be confused with Korean, but Karen from Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. So we wanted to use this interview and let it be as much like a normal ethnographic interview as possible. So we tried to incorporate participant observation and kind of get into the Karen world for a little bit before. So doing meals with them, observing them at work, whatever we could do to start to build that relationship. So first, we talked with him about his family structure. The Karen family structure is very traditional. Men work and women take care of the home. However, they're not really strict on the roles of children. Children can do whatever. They can farm or they can stay at home with their mom to help until basically marrying age. So the roles are pretty flexible there. They're incredibly communal. Their families all live together in their villages. Houses are side by side and very small, but they all live right together. So like one day you can go help this person farm, and then the next day the whole family helps the other person farm. So they rely really heavily on their families in order to get their work taken care of. All families live in smaller sections of the villages as a whole, but the villages are also really communal. You don't just depend on your family, you depend on the whole village to be able to get all of the work done that needs to be done. Another note about their family structure and their family life is that their homes, I thought this was so interesting and so incredibly smart. They've been facing a lot of government persecution for a while, and so their homes have kind of evolved from these more permanent structures to highly mobile structures where the walls are just made from, August described it as a bamboo-like plant, but they just do bamboo and set up the walls and then have like cloth material on the sides. And they used to have a lot more complex homes, but the government often will come through and do raids and burn, and so they had to figure out a way to house everyone, but also to be able to move their home quickly, or to be able to lose it all together but not lose too much of their investment. So I thought that was incredibly smart. They really value respect within the culture. August, when we asked him about the biggest taboos, they all went back to two ways that you would show disrespect towards an older person. For example, you shouldn't ever address an older person by their name. You should call them big brother or big sister, and that helps show respect to an older Karen individual. He also said an element of disrespect and an element of taboo in their society was when they eat, you shouldn't talk or you shouldn't sing. Basically, don't make noise when you eat as a family because it's disrespectful towards whoever prepared the food. That meal times are not for conversations or laughing, which was so in contrast to the Karen people group as a whole because they're incredibly warm and really loud and love to sing. Every few seconds he would talk about how much they love to sing and dance and get together, but meal times are very, very sacred. So they take that seriously. As far as the structure of law and punishment, sometimes in the Karen state there is capital punishment, but that's reserved for crimes like adultery. But that's becoming more lenient, August said. And now they do a lot more banishing as opposed to murdering someone. He also told this really interesting story that we kind of understood and we kind of didn't about dating. They really value purity in the Karen culture. And so he told this story about, for example, if I were to go to my girlfriend's house and we were to turn the lights out and then we turn the lights back on immediately, I would owe her parents 2 chickens and 2 liquors to pay for what we had done. And so he kind of shared how even the implication of impurity while dating was just not going to be handled. And he laughed too. He was like, it's just so different from the United States. So they really, really focus on purity in their relationships. Religiously, they are mostly Buddhist and Christian, and they base a lot of their morals off of what August referred to as biblical morals. But he said even Buddhists would adhere to scripture to look for what's right and what's wrong. But males can convert to their future wife's religion very easily. So their religion is very fluid. They can go back and forth, and there's not really a lot of judgment from families. It's more of whatever the family you're going into is doing, that's what you should do. Their 2 biggest values are peace and, as August noted, those biblical morals. So the Korean have long been under persecution even before they came to Myanmar. So that even plays down into how they relate with one another. August mentioned that confrontation does not happen among the Korean people. You just know that you've done something wrong, and so you take care of it, but you don't discuss it because they don't want any conflict to occur. And then generally, just for people to be loving and to be kind and to take care of their fellow man. So we had a great time with August. We really enjoyed getting to learn from the Korean. If you have time, look up a little bit of their story. They're really, really cool and really kind. Thank you guys so much.